No.
She made it up.
I just have to make sure all of it gets pulled.
Well, yeah, that could only be that far.
Call my daughter because I said no, and I threatened curb action. And so they're trying to bully me into doing it by holding Corey hostage. And I said, fine, I'll encourage you, enough that she understands. But it's a lie, I could go potty again.
Marcia was here, and that's all I'm waiting for.
You gotta walk out. We're gonna kind of.
All right. Welcome to the April meeting of the Board of Trustees of South Orange County Community College District. To the audience, we're starting an hour late, and my apologies. We had a number of items in closed session to discuss. And again, to the audience, so sorry. Let's begin as usual with a report from the clerk as to actions taken in closed session.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one item to report. On a 7-0 vote, the board approved 6 months of unpaid leave with benefits for a classified employee.
Thank you. There really was more going on than that, but that's what is reported. At this point, I would invite all of you to please stand and join us in invocation to be led by Trustee Fuentes, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Trustee Milchiker.
Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, in you we trust. We thank you for this day. We thank you for our nation and for our community. We thank you for our community college district. We ask you to bless our efforts here this evening, enlighten our minds, guide us. In this meeting, help us act in service to our community always. This we pray. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our great country, to the flag of our great country. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a number of resolutions that we are happy to present today, and we will start with the resolution going to our student trustee, Trustee Reynard, who is joining us for the last time before heading off to, where are you going? I didn't, where? Oh, what a good man. Who will be heading off to UCLA after this term, and we wish him all the success. So, Trustee Fuentes.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. May I invite you and the Chancellor to gather over there at the podium with these resolutions. Matthew, would you join the Chancellor and the Board President? A resolution honoring Matthew Reynard, Student Trustee. Whereas Matthew Reynard served the 37,000-member student body of Saddleback College, Irvine Valley College, and the Advanced Technology and Education Park with dedication and distinction while balancing a full-time major in communications, a part-time job, and the grueling application process for university admission. And whereas Matthew served as an advocate and information conduit for students, ensuring that the student voice be considered and recognized as an integral part of district governance. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend and congratulate Matthew T. Reynard for his outstanding service as student trustee for the 2007-2008 academic year. Congratulations, Matthew.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Fuentes.
Aye.
Trustee Jay.
Aye.
Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Padberg.
Aye.
Trustee Wagner.
Aye.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee
Reynard.
Aye. I'll make this short and sweet. I cannot begin to explain the knowledge and experience that I've gained over this past year on the board. Thank you all for your support, board members, faculty, and students. I'm excited and elated to use this knowledge that I have gained here throughout the rest of my life, and thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next resolution is to honor the president of Saddleback College. Rich, may we invite you to join the Chancellor and the President. A resolution in honor of Dr. Richard McCullough. Whereas Dr. Richard McCullough is retiring after 38 years as a dedicated and tireless champion of Saddleback College and its students. And whereas during Dr. McCullough's leadership as president, he oversaw unprecedented facilities renovation and strategic planning efforts, and he was recognized by the Associated Student Government as Administrator of the Year. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby express their deepest appreciation to Dr. Richard McCullough and recognize his enduring legacy to generations of Saddleback College students. And we would ask you to call the roll.
Trustee Fuentes.
Aye.
Trustee Jay.
Aye.
Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Padberg.
Aye.
Trustee Wagner.
Aye.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Student Trustee Reynard.
I'd invite you all to join me in a standing ovation.
What can I say? 38 years goes pretty fast, but I've loved every minute. I have not literally come to work for 38 years because I have so enjoyed the people, the students, the faculty, just everybody, Board of Trustees. But anyway, thank you so much for this. This is very nice. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
next resolution honors our Vice Chancellor of Technology and Learning Services. Andreea, may we invite you to join the Chancellor and the President. A resolution in honor of Dr. Andreea M. Serban. Whereas Dr. Andreea M. Serban has brought a unique and collaborative style of leadership to our district in the areas of institutional research, planning, and information technology. And whereas Dr. Serban has chaired several district-wide initiatives with involvement of all constituent groups, which resulted in new processes for the development of district-wide goals, in a new $12 million student information system and academic calendars for 3 years. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby extend their appreciation to Dr. Andreea Serban for her service and leadership and express their congratulations upon her appointment as Superintendent President of Santa Barbara City College. Call the roll.
Trustee Fuentes.
Aye.
Trustee Jay. Aye. Trustee Lang. Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Padberg.
Aye.
Trustee Wagner.
Aye.
Trustee Williams. Student Trustee Reynard.
Well, we'll be here a while because I decided to take my time tonight. I memorized all the employees' names from A to W from our newly go live HR system, which works very well. We have good reports. I'm ready to go with that, so just lay back. Well, I have to say that even though my time in the district has been fairly short compared to others who are here in this room, I have truly enjoyed my experience in this district. It has been a truly rewarding experience, and I'm really appreciative for the trust that the board and the chancellor had in me when they selected me for this newly created position, which combined many different challenges. And I thought to myself how lucky I am that if really I were to thank all the people who have made these 2 years so exciting for me, we truly will be here a long time. And I know that some people know those rules with Robert's Order of the Day, so I'm trying to avoid that. But there are some people I would like to just take a second and thank, because we have spent quite a bit of time together. The 4 vice presidents at the 2 colleges whom we have become so close that really just keep for yourself what you learned about me. And Kathy Peterson and the 2 college presidents, tremendous resource and inspiration, and Gary and Bob, and all the CEC meetings have been really fun in spite of what they say out there. And a person who really has been such a tremendous support is Andreea, my assistant, who many of you know. And she's so unique, and I tried to bribe her to come with me, but I don't know, it's something with the dog and the husband and the house that is getting in the way of that. Most importantly, I want to thank Chancellor Matter, who has been really unwavering support for me these 2 years, and that's really important in a job as challenging as my job. And I'm hopeful that whomever will come after me will have as much enjoyment and satisfaction in working with all of you. And all the faculty, Wendy, Carmen, Mary, G, Shauna, you've been really tremendous support. And also, thank you all for saying good things during the site visit from Santa Barbara. Your check is in the mail once I start there. So thank you all very much.
Andreea, congratulations, and we do hope that you'll have a nice guest room up there so that when any of us decide we want to go for a surfing weekend or a visit to the old mission, we'll be up to stay with you in Santa Barbara. Our next resolution honors the Vice Chancellor of Human Resources. Bob, would you join the Chancellor and the President? A resolution in honor of Robert E. King. Whereas Bob King provided critical leadership to the Office of Human Resources, which resulted in outstanding efforts to recruit over 1,400 new employees and new initiatives of professional development for managers. And whereas Bob King spearheaded cost containment efforts such as reduction of workers' compensation costs by 97% in 2 years and savings of approximately $300,000 in life and long-term disability insurance. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby extend their appreciation to Robert E. King for his service and leadership and wish him and his family every success as he embarks upon his private law practice. Call the roll.
Trustee Fuentes.
Aye.
Trustee Jay.
Aye.
Trustee Lang. Aye. Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Padberg.
Aye.
Trustee Wagner.
Aye.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Student Trustee Reynard.
Thank you. You know, there's an old saying that says, you're known by the company you keep. And I was thinking about this as the day wound down. And I look around this room, and I've kept some really good company over the past 2.5 years, from the spirited debates with my academic Senate friends in the rarefied air, to my union negotiations, to my dear friends at CSEA who sold me more candy bars than I will ever be able to eat, to my colleagues at CEC. Rich McCullough told me a story on my first day, and he said, you know what, no matter what happens to me, I can always go back and do the most important thing here, and that's teach. And you learn a lot when you're around good people like that. And that's Rich and Glenn and Andreea and Gary and the Chancellor and the Board of Trustees. So I just want to say thank you. It has sincerely been my privilege to be with you for these 2.5 years, and I've appreciated the opportunity. It's a rare thing where you have a job where you learn more from the people around you than you do from any books in a library, and that was the case with me here. So I thank you very much.
Congratulations, Bob. We have one last resolution, and this resolution will actually be presented by Chancellor Mather to Dr. Jerome Hunter, our good friend and colleague, the Chancellor of the North Orange County Community College District, who's retiring after 8 years as Chancellor. A resolution that will be taken by Ragu to a celebration of Jerry Hunter's years. Do we need a vote on that? I think we should. Madam Secretary, if you'd call the roll.
Trustee Fuentes.
Aye.
Trustee Jay.
Aye.
Trustee Lang. Aye. Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Padberg.
Aye.
Trustee Wagner.
Aye.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Student Trustee Reynard.
Aye.
Thank you. And we have a resolution, lastly, honoring Classified School Employees Week. Whereas the classified school employees strive... Sir.
G? Can we have G come on up for this?
Photo op.
Yes. And both. Whomever we have from classified, come on up. My apologies. Continue.
Not at all. Thank you. A resolution honoring the Classified School Employees Week. Whereas classified school employees strive for excellence in all areas and serve as a valued resource and guide for students of Saddleback College, Irvine Valley College, and the Advanced Technology and Education Park. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby recognize, honor, and appreciate the many contributions of the classified employees to quality education in California and in this district, and declare the week of May 19th to May 23rd, 2008 as the Classified School Employees Week. Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Trustee Fuentes.
Aye.
Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Jay.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Padberg.
Aye.
Trustee Wagner.
Aye.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Student Trustee Reynard.
No, we would just like to say thank you. We really appreciate the honor. Thanks.
Thank you. At this point, we'll turn to public comments, and Madam Secretary, I've got one request to speak. Any others? That's it. Thomas Feistel, a student. Mr. Feistel, to the podium.
Thank you, Chancellor Mather, Board of Trustees, and Student Trustee Matthew Reynard for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Thomas Feistel, and I'm a student at both Saddleback and Irvine Valley College. At Irvine Valley College, I'm a member of the Honors Program and president of our Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. I'm happy to report that because of our many accomplishments in the areas of scholarship, leadership, and service this year, our chapter has won a Distinguished Chapter Award. This means that our chapter is ranked in the top 25 internationally of 800 participating chapters. And with the single greatest reason for our success is the dedication and accomplishments of our officers and members, we wouldn't have this success without the institutional support we receive from our district, from our college staff, and from our college president. But the greatest support we receive is from our faculty. It was faculty, for instance, who helped us form beneficial community partnerships with the City of Irvine and the Democracy Project, Vote 2008, with Irvine Relay for Life, and with Mission Recycling, who with a dozen other key community partners participated in our annual Earth Day event and e-waste drive last year, and who will be returning for our second annual event tomorrow morning. It was faculty who came to campus for hours on weekends and facilitated our strategic planning and Hallmark Award submission sessions. It was faculty who encouraged many of our students to apply for scholarships and who shepherded them through the application process. And finally, it was faculty who helped promote our overall transferability within our district by helping us host and by presenting at our annual UC Personal Statement workshops. Faculty don't do all this because they receive extra monetary compensation for it. They don't get paid for any of this. Nor do they do it because they are contractually obligated to do so. They do it because they care deeply about student success, as do all of you. I therefore respectfully ask that you keep student success in your minds as you turn to the negotiating table next Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Feistel. And at this point, we'll turn to the board for reports. As always, let's start with Trustee Jay.
Yes. First off, I'd like to extend my personal congratulations to all the honorees tonight. Rich McCullough has been a special friend for the last 34 years. Rich, best of luck to you in your new assignment. And you've done a tremendous job and been a tremendous benefit to the college and the community all the time you've been here. Secondly, to the member of the Board of Trustees that's retiring, Matthew Reynard, good luck to you at UCLA, Matthew. I've enjoyed working with you. Thirdly, to Andreea Serban, good luck as the President Superintendent at Santa Barbara, Andreea. And Fourthly, to Bob King, who has done a Trojan job in HR, which I did once myself, and I know it's a tough job, and thanks a lot, Bob. Lastly, to somebody who we will talk about in the academic appointment calendar, and that's Bill Brummel, who is the Saddleback basketball coach who's retiring, done a great job here, has won one state title, been in the state playoffs several other years, and he's done a huge job for Saddleback College. Secondly, I'd like to mention that the trustees did take a tour of the BGS building tonight. Spent a lot of money there. Let's hope it works out. Every imaginable leak and mushroom growing spot has been eliminated, we hope, and I know the building will be occupied shortly, and I hope that it works out for all of our allergic people, me being one of them, that does notice it in that building. I'm very pleased to see on the agenda that finally the stadium at Saddleback, the football stadium, is on the first two phases to be funded by the foundation, and more will be said about that when we get to the that agenda item. Lastly, this weekend my wife and I went to Forbidden Broadway, which is an incredible presentation. It was done almost entirely by professionals this time, and literally every hit song and hit musical for the last 50 years were touched upon, whether it was Oklahoma or Phantom or a tremendous number of other musicals. It was a great presentation, and it was very well done, and is something that we'll be looking forward to hearing at Irvine shortly as their new theater is put into operation. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Padberg.
Sorry. In view of the hour, I'm going to keep my report very brief. We haven't even started, and we're almost at the quitting time. So let me just say that I won't go through recognizing everyone we've already recognized. I know that May is coming up. We have all kinds of award ceremonies at that time, including graduation. I do believe that all of the people who were honored tonight will hopefully, I don't know, Mr. King will still be at graduation, and we'll get to see you one more time. And you too, our student trustee. I enjoyed the tour of the BGS building. It's wonderful to see that in such great shape, and I look forward to its occupancy and having the furniture put in, and our students and our faculty. Just briefly, I represent the OCTA stakeholder, this group on the OCTA stakeholders meeting. I was unable to make the March meeting. I do have the minutes from that if anyone would like them. And they have been in the process of gathering a survey. Many of you may have received the survey. When we get the results of that survey, I'll be happy to bring that to this board. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Fuentes.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to offer our Orange County Legislative Task Force report. Our task force continues to meet with state legislators in their districts and in their Sacramento offices, carrying the message at this time of fiscal crises of the state of California to keep the budget cuts for community college to whatever minimum possible and to reduce costly regulation. In an upcoming meeting of our task force, we will have Supervisor John Morlock speak to us on May 15th, and he's going to address the issue of the declining property taxes, which so impact funding for education in our community. Recognizing the current recession in California and the state budget crises, the task force is writing a letter in support of legislation to attempt to backfill some of the $80 million of projected property tax shortfall for community college funding, the largest property tax shortfall in history. Already, the K through 12 schools have similar automatic adjustments in place for changes in property tax revenues. Recently, Chancellor Mather and the Orange County Community College chancellors have planned some travel. They will be going with a group that includes the Chancellor of the University of California, Irvine, and the President of Cal State University, Fullerton, to a news conference on the state capitol steps, which will be followed by the delivery to the governor of letters of support for higher education. Beyond that, as my own report, I would like to extend most hearty congratulations and thanks for hospitality and a most pleasant evening to President Glenn Rockmore and Al Tello and the team at the Irvine Valley College Foundation. Their recent dinner was a most pleasant evening, and I was proud as a alumnus of Chapman University that our president, Jim Doty, was the guest speaker, and Jim had just returned from competition in the East, and yet was there to bring us a lively message that evening. Very pleasant evening. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you. Trustee Williams.
Yes, it was a busy month, but I'll be brief. Several weeks ago, Chancellor Mather and I attended Community College League Capital Days in Sacramento, and we joined quite a few other trustees. And actually, this group had a number of students, which was good to see, student trustees. And I plan to attend again in June to protect roughly $10 million in state funding that we receive. As a basic aid district, we get a lot more, but $10 million is a lot of money. I'd hate to see us take a hit on that. So Chancellor Mather will be commenting on that more. We did meet with several local legislators. We had an ATEP meeting at Tustin. We did hear from Cal State Fullerton leadership, President Milton Gordon. That was a good meeting. And we have a number of possible partners that we're looking at for that property at the Tustin base. I attended the IVC Foundation dinner once again. Glenn, that was wonderful. Tell Al to keep up the good work. Very, very enjoyable evening. And then I made notes here. I've got to say goodbyes. It's, Andreea and Rich and our student trustee. And, I wish you the very best. We have a new president from our ranks. So congratulations. And President McCullough came in 1971 in the fall. I graduated from Saddleback in the spring of 1971, so I missed him by a few short months. So, and we're both Big Ten alum here at Purdue, correct? I'm an Iowa Hawkeye after Saddleback College. So I wish you all the very best, and President McCullough, I look forward to your retirement party. Thank you.
Thank you. Very briefly, thanks to Rich McCullough, Walter Rice, and Brandy Delana for the tour of the BGS building. Appreciated the opportunity to see what is going on there, and look forward to getting that building opened shortly for the students. I will not repeat much of what's gone before. A thank you to Glenn for the IVC Foundation dinner. Very well done and appreciated. And finally, all the goodbyes have been said, but at least with respect to the goodbye to the student trustee, we get to say hello to a new student trustee. She's in the audience today, and our congratulations to Hannah Lee, who has been elected to this body and that position beginning next month. So Hannah, welcome, and we welcome you. Thank you very much, and let's turn to Trustee Milchiker.
Okay. I also wanted to thank so much the honorees this evening. Rich McCullough, your comments were wonderful as usual, and we'll miss you, but we'll know you'll be back, and we'll be able to talk more at your retirement party. And Andreea, it's been great working with you, and I know you'll make a wonderful president of Santa Barbara City College. And Bob King, it's been great, wonderful working with you, and good luck in your future career. It sounds wonderful. And Matthew, good luck at UCLA. You're going to do great and represent our college well. And welcome to Hannah Lee, our new student trustee. And I also want to thank our classified employees for their being honored on Classified Employee Week, because they're the ones who really keep our colleges going and make it possible for our wonderful faculty to teach in their classrooms, and we couldn't do it without you. I too enjoyed the tour of the BGS building, and it's really, you've done a wonderful job putting it together, and the IVC Foundation dinner was great, and I attended with the Charter 100 ladies, and we raised 1/3 of the money that's raised for the foundation, and that was really, really exciting to hear. I want to also thank Jenny McHugh, who sent out the information on a brochure on the Kaleidoscope of Diversity events that's been taking place through April and May at Saddleback College, and I've been able to attend several of the events. One of the things that was really incredible was there was a Holocaust survivor who talked about his survival story, and his name is Dr. Tony Chari, and he is a teenager in Lodz, Poland when the Holocaust started, and he and his family were imprisoned by the Gestapo, and he was sent to the Auschwitz concentration camp and Bergen-Belsen. And I really have to thank Saddleback College Professor Timothy Bratz, who invited him, and also Professor David DeLeo, who brought his class, and the room was just filled with students who were there to hear this wonderful story. I will be very happy to email this brochure to anybody that's interested in coming. The upcoming event, there was also another day about diversity, and there's another upcoming event on Cinco de Mayo, and there will be food there from 6 to 7, and then a wonderful speaker. And just email me at the college, and I'll email you the brochure, and it should be a really wonderful event. It's so good for us to learn about other cultures and to really be able to understand other cultures and work with other cultures, because we have so many of them at our district, and it's wonderful.
Thank you. Trustee Lang.
I also attended the lecture that Trustee Milchiker had mentioned with the Holocaust survivor, and that was very, very interesting. Only a miracle that this gentleman survived, and truly a treasure to have people like this still in our midst. I wanted to thank President Rockmore, congratulate you again on a wonderful foundation event dinner. Much has been said already, so I won't repeat any of that, but the honorees were incredible and well-deserving of the recognition that the foundation provided to them. So that was terrific. I also want to congratulate you, President Rockmore. You get full credit, obviously, for the men's volleyball state championship, so enjoy that as well. Tremendous victory. Another event that I participated in was with President McCullough. We had a accreditation subcommittee meeting, and you did a fine job of mediating that. Truly, I'm going to miss your presence among us here. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it to your retirement party, so I'm going to have to say my farewell tonight, but know that you have had a major impact on this institution, and we are all tremendously indebted to you for your leadership. And then finally, I'll also say my final goodbyes as well to Bob King, Andreea Serban, and to Matthew. And of course, welcome to Hannah Lee. Look forward to serving with you. All of you have done a tremendous job. We've had a just outstanding leadership team here in our district, and all of you helped make that happen. It's really been a pleasure serving on this board, and knowing that we have people like you that we can rely and trust on, and I thank you for that.
And to the newest member of my extended Bruin family, Trustee Reynard.
Good evening. Quick wrap-up. I attended the IVC Foundation dinner as well, presented Invocation. I also went to the opening play, Fiorello, which was really amazing. Okay. And congratulations to Hannah Lee. I'm sure you're very excited. And again, I want to thank all of you again for everything that you have done over this past year, and I hope to see you at IVC.
Thank you. Chancellor?
Thank you, President Wagner. Let me also join all the board members in thanking our student trustee, Matthew Reynard, for his outstanding leadership on behalf of these students as we welcome Hannah Lee, who will be sworn in at the next board meeting. And also an appreciation for the leadership of President McCullough and Vice Chancellor Serban and Vice Chancellor King for all your service. It has been a true pleasure working with three outstanding professionals. And thanks to President Rockmore as well for the foundation dinner event. It was very well organized, well attended. It was a very successful event. Vice President of the board, John Williams, mentioned that he and I had an opportunity to travel to Sacramento on April 15th to lobby our legislators regarding the funding situation. I regret to tell you that the situation does not look very good. In fact, it looks fairly bleak considering that the shortfall figure for the budget for the next year continues to grow. At this point, it's somewhere between $12 to $15 million. It's a moving target. It is expected that the budget will not be adopted at the state level until sometime in August or even September. Trustee Williams mentioned that we get about $9 to $10 million in this district for categorical money. That means, for example, for EOPS, DSPNS, and other related programs. And if there's a 10% cut, as anticipated, that means we stand to lose about $900,000. So that's why we have traveled to Sacramento and will continue to monitor their scene. Finally, I want to mention that I had the opportunity to attend the American Association of Community Colleges conference recently, and what I've learned I intend to share with the District Leadership Council, which means all the administrators, managers, and others. And I'd just like to share very quickly 4 points. The budget situation is really impacting 46, 47, 48 states out of the 50 states in the union. In most states, student tuition is increasing. In most states, there's a structural deficit problem. In most states, they are not able to deal with deferred maintenance needs. And in most states, they are questioning the need for continuing to build more new buildings in light of the increasing emphasis on online education. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, we will ask for board requests for reports. Are there any written requests?
I have not received any.
All right. Anything from the board? All right. A couple of housekeeping items. We have some discussion items. We are about 13 minutes shy of our drop dead date. Administration's asked me to pull 6.4, which I will do. And let me entertain a motion to begin with, just to extend us to 9:30 and see how that goes.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? All right. Then we will at least go to 9:30. And we will start with item 4.1, curriculum report.
Mr. President.
Sir.
Is there a possible way for the two discussion items that we could postpone those?
Well, we do have some people who are here and have sat through, a long closed session. So, if you want to make a motion to table, but I would like to get it in tonight if we could.
Let me look to the Chancellor.
I would suggest that we do them briefly, but try to do them tonight. One of them has been deferred already by a couple of months, and I understand time is of the essence here, and I would call upon all the presenters to be brief and to the point.
Thank you.
Sorry. All right. Let's start with item 4.1, and to introduce the item, here's the Chancellor.
Thank you. Let me ask Vice Chancellor Serban to introduce the curriculum item at the podium and introduce the presenters, and I would hope that each presenter will really keep it brief and to the point so that we can inform the board about the new developments in the area of curriculum.
We have the two chairs of the curriculum committee from Saddleback and IVC, You may recall last year about the same time they are riveting presentations, and they are here with a repeat but with much improved content. And I would like to acknowledge that they have made a special effort to be here tonight, and so I hope we'll give them the full time necessary to cover these topics. So Howard Adams will start for Saddleback, followed by Dr. Kathy Schmeidler from IVC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Howard Adams. I'm the chair of curriculum for Saddleback College. We approved 671 courses. To update you on the report, you approved this in February, but to let you know kind of some of the new things that have been going on, every division in our college has new courses that are being approved and will appear in the fall catalog. There are a number of additions in film and television, a number of additions in business science, as always. Ameris Institute is growing. Every year it seems to grow more. Fine Arts has the largest new program, and it's a new program in technical theater. There are 6 new courses dealing with the technical side of theater, not in the acting side. And that is a new certificate and a new degree that has gone to Sacramento, and we have heard that it will be approved. In Health Sciences and Human Services, there are 3 new courses in Human Services and 2 in EMT. Kinesiology is expanding. Liberal Arts has expanded the International Languages Department, and we're changing the name of it from Foreign Languages to International Languages, which is a more appropriate title. And we are adding Korean and Advanced Hebrew. Math has increased with a basic algebra course, an additional course, 4 new anthropology courses, and several new degrees that you'll read about in the new catalog, which you've already seen in the agenda item. One is the Entertainment and Theater Technology program I told you about. And then the state recommended that we make some changes in some of the general degrees. So we made 5 degree changes, and they were approved by the state. So we did hear back from Sacramento, and those include Fine and Applied Arts, General Studies, a General Health Sciences degree, Liberal Arts and Sciences degree, and a new Physical Sciences degree. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm a biologist and the mouse doesn't work. That's okay. While she's making that work, I just wanted to say good evening to the board, Chancellor, the rest of the crowd. I wore this shirt today, and the other. I wore this shirt today to remind myself to start out by telling you what I like about my job as curriculum chair at IVC. This is a shirt from the Ann Arbor Art Festival. It's a long weekend of music and art and crafts and foods in Ann Arbor, Michigan. It exemplifies the confluence of many disciplines and approaches, interests and backgrounds, people of all ages, nationalities, political, religious, and social persuasions, educational and economic backgrounds all mingle there. Being curriculum chair permits me, and in fact requires, that I work with our faculty and on one of our major products, our curriculum. In most colleges and universities, as a molecular geneticist, a developmental biologist, that's me, I'd be squirreled away in my lab living a happy hermit's life. But instead, here I mingle with my colleagues as we explore all the nooks and crannies of our educational program. Like an art festival, I meet a wide variety of ideas and approaches doing this. All too often, we become involved with the details of our work, and we forget the point. While it's always a good idea to keep one's eyes on the trees, since they have a nasty habit of jumping up and smashing one's face if we're not watching them, it's also important to appreciate the forest. So while tonight I'll bombard you with some of our numbers and some of our details, what's important for you is not those. You can always look those up. What's important for you is to try to see the whole story. And the whole story is that the faculty think about curriculum and teaching methodologies, how to get our ideas across, and how best to teach and train students. We think about it in the shower, walking our dogs, ironing our clothes, driving to and from school. We do not usually count how many hours we spend engaged in this because it is who we are as much as what we do. Yesterday, Sunday, I received 15 emails from 5 different colleagues, 5 different faculty members, which also means I sent about as many, discussing new math curriculum that you will, I hope, approve in your next meeting. It will be, I hope, approved by the Senate at our next meeting and offered next fall. This was not my only work-related correspondence, don't get me wrong, but note it was a Sunday, and 5 of us were discussing and thinking about new math curriculum and emailing each other, and that's who we are and what we do. And this is supposed to work now, right? There we go. The Academic Senate is the focal point of our curriculum approval process, as you know, I hope, from last year. And these are our Senate members. I don't think I need to read all of this to you. The Representative Council is represented by 2 members from each of our schools. So there's a fairly robust number of people out of a faculty of more or less 100 people, something on the order of 20 some odd, 22, 24 of them come to Senate meetings to participate. I am the chair of the Curriculum Committee. The Curriculum Committee has itself some subcommittees that need to work. The Technical Review Committee for Course Outline of Record Approval, the General Education Committee, Technical Review Committee, and Distance Education Mode of Instruction Approval are all subcommittees of the Curriculum Committee. So you can see, again, some widespread participation. And what I'd like to talk to you about a little bit this evening is how we coordinate all of this information. And the way we will begin to coordinate it, and have in fact at IVC begun to coordinate it already, is through this wonderful program you've bought for us called CurricuNet, which is intended to manage curriculum. And I'm assuming that you're reading all of this, but the curriculum approval process, all of these components that you can see in front of you, are managed and organized and publicized through CurricuNet, which is a curriculum management system that's web-based and therefore dynamic, which also means that it can keep up with any changes in regulations and in technology very easily. It's individualized for each college. It's an efficient tracking system. It will facilitate manipulation, updating, and revision of course outline of records. That's the official title for a piece of curriculum. Course outline of record information is searchable, and in fact not only searchable at a college or at a district, but searchable among all the people subscribing to CurricuNet, which constitutes a large number of colleges both in California and throughout the country. It can archive revisions, and in fact does, track technical changes separately from substantial revisions, and helps us a great deal. At IVC, we are already using CurricuNet. We have faculty authors, school review and approval, technical review committee review, library review, Section 508 compliance review, articulation review, publication review. Recommendations have been sent to the curriculum committee from tech review, and indeed, at the moment, I can tell you that recommendations have been sent to the Academic Senate, and this upcoming Thursday, the Academic Senate will be able to act on curriculum using CurricuNet this semester at IVC. CurricuNet has already seen a widespread involvement of the campus community, and this is only going to grow because at the moment it's unofficial. This has been volunteers only. Faculty authors have volunteered, academic chairs have been involved, deans, the Technical Review Committee has used it, Committee on Courses, Curriculum Committee has used it, Committee on Courses is its old name. Academic Senate is involved in using it, and I know they are already doing so. Again, widespread involvement of the community continues. School senior administrative assistants have already started using it and will only be using it more. It relieves them of a great deal of technical responsibility and busy work, and yet they still have access, in fact, easier access than they have had in the past, to curriculum to help students, faculty, outsiders, anybody who needs help. The curriculum specialist, the publication editor, the articulation specialist, the articulation officer, and our vice president of instruction have all been using CurricuNet already this semester at IVC. In CurricuNet, this is not our total roster, this is in CurricuNet itself. We have 14 new courses in progress. We have 2 already, or actually still at technical review. We have 9 waiting for Senate approval this week. We have 60 revised courses in progress in CurricuNet already. Think how many people that means are involved using CurricuNet. And I want to explain to you, these are all volunteers who were told that at any moment CurricuNet might crash, or because of other problems may get its entire memory redone, so that any work they're doing might be lost. And despite this, this many people have engaged it, have encountered it, have been using it, have been helping us work out all of the day-to-day glitches that happen when a new massive program is brought online. Just think of the volunteer work of our faculty as well as staff members involved in this. 3 of these revised courses are at technical review, 5 are waiting for Senate approval. 3 DE distance education mode of instruction applications have completed their approval process. IVC is already using CurricuNet. Their faculty members representing 8 of our 10 different schools are currently using CurricuNet, and I should say that one of the schools that's not using it is Guidance and Counseling, which has a huge amount of work to do, but very few courses to do. So I think this is very impressive in terms of widespread involvement of the campus community and the assistance that I'm getting from the entire faculty on making this work. Faculty members representing 15 different departments are currently using CurricuNet. And then very briefly, just to reiterate what I went over last year a little bit, CurricuNet will help us manage curriculum not only at the college level for what we do in terms of revising curriculum and making new ones, but it flags courses for various functions. Here's the list. I don't need to read it to you. Once identified, it makes all the appropriate forms available, automatically copies relevant information to the appropriate not only college and district, but also state reporting people. There's output of current curriculum for efficient course outline revision and ultimately for better coordination between the 2 colleges, the management systems for the state, and I just want to give you here some of the data that, again, you can always look up, but these are some trees you might be interested in. 18 pieces of information are required for each course for the CRCC project. It tracks the history of every course since 1992. So if it has had any changes, changes in name, changes in units, changes in anything, all of that is tracked through this system. IVC has more than 16,000 courses in this. Well, it's not supposed to be a project. CT somehow got a different color. It's very interesting. It's a project. Lois D'Alto, our curriculum specialist, compiled this information for IVC. IVC report last year was one of 30 on time in California and was one of 19 error-free in California and was the only one that was both error-free and on time. And as you know, I think she got an award for that last year. We have a direct output to Oscar, which is for articulating with our transfer institutions, Cal States and UCs, for sorting information for different articulation purposes, both GE and major prep. And that is the end of my presentation. I'm more than happy, of course, to answer any questions if you are brave enough to want to get me to talk some more.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you very much. Let's see.
Wise, very wise.
Seeing no questions, thank you both, and very much appreciate the report. We are now going to move to item 4.2, which is the Student Learning's Outcome Report to the board. And again, let's visit with Dr. Serban.
We have 3 faculty tonight here to present on this very important topic. And I would just like to mention briefly that student learning outcomes is actually a major effort involving not only faculty but staff, our researchers, and every so often even administrators. And I'd like to acknowledge someone here tonight who has waited patiently. She has been a major contributor to Saddleback student learning outcome effort as well as research effort, and I'm very happy to report that she She is effective April 22nd. Our new Director of Research and Planning, Denise Inseong, is here. And she has worked at Saddleback since 2004. Before that, she was at UCI Center for Educational Partnerships for 3 years. She is extremely talented, bright, patient, and I'm absolutely happy that she's joining us at the district. I'm also unhappy that I'm leaving, as I just have her coming to this job. But she will do great. And also, I would like to commit to colleagues from Saddleback that Denise will continue to do quite a bit for Saddleback. You have heard a lot of SLOs in the past several years, and while not everybody is fully agreeable that this is useful, they are here to stay, so might as well go with it. The Accrediting Commission has implemented these new standards in 2002. Actually, California is the last state, or the West Coast is the last portion of the United States to catch up. This has been in place in the other parts of the United States for 25 years or so. So we say it's new, but it's really not that new. And it's about the concept of what do students know by the time they complete a course or a program. How do we ensure that what they know is actually applicable in what they are going to do, whether it's a job or whether it's transferring. And we have an obligation to define the student learning outcomes and to be very clear with our students what they are going to learn, how they are going to be assessed in that regard, and how we are going to use the data to make improvements. So without further ado, we'll start with Dr. Carrie Tucker and Dr. Jerry Runman, who are the SLO coordinators at IVC, followed by Morgan Barrows from Saddleback. Dr. Morgan Barrows. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Jerry Rudman, and Carrie Tucker and I share completely, right down the middle, responsibility for student learning outcome implementation at Irvine Valley. The reason I'm up here is I lost the toss. So, but Carrie, would you stand, please, so they know who you are? She's an outstanding, one of our best teachers as well. And then we have an intern that helps us, and we, for a couple of years, had an advisory committee, but we've disbanded that. We don't need that right now. Some of the implementation has been lots of workshops that we put on for instructors and student service staff and administrators. I'm trying to go too fast. We have developed an idea of high priority learning outcomes. For example, we ask instructors to think, what's the most important thing that students should be coming out of your course with? What can they do or know that's different? What changed them in a way? And focusing on robust learning outcomes has been a very positive approach for us, and has worked well for assessment as well. We have a resource website. We've integrated student learning outcomes into program review so that all new programs that go through program review must state learning outcomes. And we've been looking into technology tools to support this work. And we have developed college-wide student learning outcomes, and they are now on page 7 of the college catalog. There's an example of a robust outcome. You can read that for yourself, but you can see it's a very well thought out, detailed, articulate outcome that's expected of students who complete a digital arts course. There's one of the ones we have in psychology. And we worked also with intercollegiate athletics, and I thought these were very innovative. Our athletic coaches got together with us and decided, you know, if we need to do learning outcomes, let's make it something that we can really use that'll benefit the students. And so they're focusing on unsportsmanlike conduct and learning the rules. And one of the measures we have is how many infraction students are, penalized, red cards and technical fouls and so on, which are already being accumulated. for doing learning outcomes. This is a summary of our progress overall at the college. We just, every April, we have to submit a progress report to the Accrediting Commission, and this gives a breakdown of our progress in terms of courses, instructional programs, and student services. This is a marked improvement over last year, so we are making progress. And then finally, this is my last slide, I think that the focus on learning outcomes has helped a great deal to focus on student learning, and we are much more sophisticated in the way that we do learning assessment now because of all this work. And we've also engaged in research. Dr. Tucker and I have done several studies developing brand new learning outcomes for use in the college. So that's all I have to say, and I think we have you ready to come up? Okay.
Hello, I appreciate you running late because it allowed me to finish my alternative energies course so I can come and present. Rajan, thank you for stepping up for me. I do appreciate that. Again, I am Dr. Barrows, and I am chair of the Institutional Effectiveness Committee at Saddleback College, as well as chairing the Accreditation Task Force for Recommendation 3. Here at Saddleback College, we've really started the student learning outcomes in about 2004, and we really took the initiative and became very focused on looking at program level student learning outcomes, thinking that we could get the college campus on board. And that's really where we focused our attention. We got the Institutional Effectiveness Committee together. We see that 97% of all of our programs and administrative units have a set of student learning or administrative unit outcomes. And we see that as we look at our timeline, we see that, like I said, we really started with the hands-on training, looking at helping faculty to write these program levels. Currently, though, our attention has focused on course level outcomes, and we were moving in that direction regardless of the accreditation report that we received in February. But it just kind of sped up our process or our game plan. If we look at an example, we use this 5-column model, and this is what we're continuing to use in terms of our course levels as well. And we see that as we look in terms of, like I said, 97% of all of our programs have defined expected student learning outcomes. 57% of those programs have assessed their results. We see 100% of the instructional support and student support services have defined an administrative unit outcome, and 83% of the instructional support and student support services have assessed them. So we're doing actually quite well in terms of the program level. But like I said, our attention has been turned to the course level as well as the institutional level outcomes. As a result of the accreditation report, like I said, we changed our game plan a little. The Institutional Effectiveness Committee got together and we agreed upon a proposal which we took to the Academic Senate, and we then took to the PBC at Saddleback College and the Office of the President, and it has been approved by all 3 groups. We see that the plan basically focuses on obtaining a student learning outcome and a method of assessment for all of the courses that are found at Saddleback College. And we intend to have this done by August 22nd. Now, it is a lofty goal to have, but one that we're striving for. And the idea is that based on the accreditation report on recommendation 3, that when we submit our report, we will at least have a high percentage of courses that have a student learning outcome and method of assessment. We do see that with that we have institutional goals that we are focusing on, because each of the course level student learning outcomes must fall into an area of competency. In the area of competencies, we have 7 different ones that we're going to ultimately turn into institutional goals as well. So we see that we are progressing quite nicely. in terms of our student learning outcomes on the wide scale, from course to program to institution. So the Saddleback College community has jumped on board. There has been a little bit of a hiccup with this work to contract, but we do see that faculty are stepping up and working on the student learning outcomes for the betterment of the college, which I do appreciate. We've gone to a lot of the divisions to help them write the student learning outcomes. We've held lots of trainings during in-service. We see that again, Denise Inseong and Shuka, what's her last? Torabi, are instrumental in helping the faculty with assessment, and they really deserve a special round of thanks from not only the Saddleback community, but the district as well. So thank you. Yeah. My life is much easier because of both of them. Anyways, like I said, that we are moving along and we are giving us our best shot. And you will be seeing me in a few months with my Accreditation Recommendation 3 report. Any questions for me? Yeah, Marcia. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry,
yes.
UT class, I apologize.
Thank you. Well, this is certainly, as was mentioned before, it's a wonderful chance to see an environmental science professor and a wonderful environmental science professor and a molecular biologist, a cellular biologist, and counselors and anthropologists working together to really create the best curriculum that we can for our students. And I know we were required to do the student learning outcomes by the Accreditation Commission by WASC, and I really applaud both colleges for just really working so hard to get all of these done for all of our courses. My question is was our district one of the first ones that WASC required to have all the SLOs done by both colleges for?
You know, I attended a conference about a week and a half ago, and this is one of the things that one of the sessions was, and it was the Academic Senate for Community Colleges of California. And it seems that a lot of community colleges are in the same boat that we're in, that we've all got slapped on the wrist in terms of not having SLOs. Now, in one sense, we're actually further ahead than a lot of schools where we do have our program level outcomes, and a lot of our courses, such for example, like nursing, they have their course level student learning outcomes, and child development has a lot of theirs. And so we are ahead of the game, but we do see that a lot of the attention is now not only coming from having them, but actually assessing them. And so I wouldn't necessarily say that we were one of the first schools to be required, but we are in that group of community colleges that have to have them. And like Andreea said, that SLOs, they're not going away. So we do have to really integrated into our curriculum, integrated into our way of thought, and integrated into what we're doing at the community college level as well as at the district level.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let me clarify. All the districts in the state, it was June of 2002, were notified that this was part of the new standards, student learning outcomes.
Thank you. Chancellor?
I would just like to put this whole thing in perspective very quickly. First of all, to answer Trustee Milchiker's question directly, yes, we were among the first set of colleges that were required to do the student learning outcomes for the accreditation visitation purposes. Secondly, there are 4 different components here. One is the establishment of the student learning outcomes at the course level, program level, and so forth. Second is the assessment. Third is the documentation. Fourth is to show how these students are learning and how we as an institution are learning in writing and refining these student learning outcomes. On behalf of the board, I would just like to take this opportunity to thank all the faculty members who have been part of this presentation on the curriculum as well as the student learning outcomes. It is very important that we keep the board apprised of these important developments. I know that both the colleges are currently engaged in preparing their accreditation progress report, which is due by October 15th. But more than that, also we will be up for another visitation, part of the 6-year cycle, in the year 2010. In the spring of 2010, another team of 10 or 12 people will be visiting each college. And as part of that, both colleges will soon be engaging in the preparation of the self-study report. Actually, they will have to get this thing underway in the spring of '09, if not sooner. Thank you so much.
Trustee Reynard.
I just want to reiterate that this was a great presentation, and I just want to personally say Dr. Carrie Tucker was a former professor of mine in the honor psychology course, and she's an amazing professor, and I'm excited to see everything that she's done. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctors Rudman, Tucker, Barrows, and everyone who worked on this. Very much appreciate it. We are finally at the consent calendar. Let me ask the board members, are there matters to pull? Trustee Padberg.
5.2.
5.2. Any others? Wow.
Second.
Very good.
Second that.
All right, let's vote on the consent calendar.
Point of order. I meant 5.20, not 5.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
All right, well, 5.20 instead. That said, now let's vote on the bulk of the items.
Oh, you got new screens.
And Trustee Milchiker, please.
Oh, yes.
And the matter carries unanimously. All right. We are at 5.20, pulled by Trustee Padberg.
Yes, I'd like to ask that this matter be divided into two. I'll support one trip, but not the other.
All right, that is a fine request. And let's vote on attendance at the CLC Capitol Days Legislative Office Conference. Oh, I guess.
I'll move approval. Vote second with the division.
It's late. It has been moved with
For the
and,
first.
and seconded. We're doing the CCLC Capitol Days first. Trustee Fuentes. And it has been a long day, but that one passes unanimously. And do I have a motion to approve Conference on Information Technology?
So move. Second.
All right. Seeing no discussion, let's vote on the next item. And that one carries with one no vote. All right. We are at 6.1, which is to adopt resolution number 8-10 regarding GASB 43 and 45 compliance.
Move approval.
Is there a second? Discussion? Trust? Never mind, don't push the button. Trustee Lang, gotcha.
Pardon me, several questions about this item, and that I think I just needed to understand a little bit more and understand a little bit more about how the program works. I've managed to ask our Deputy Chancellor about a number of different issues, but I think it would be helpful maybe to have a little bit more open discussion about some of these items. I think the one that concerned me a little bit was exactly how the program worked relative to monies that we would transfer from our district to a separate trust. I think we've talked about this at some meetings in the past. I wanted to get some comfort that we would not be, I guess, combining any risks that we might have relative to retiree medical benefits that we were funding for employees in our district with other districts. And I think you've, so perhaps you could have a little elaborate on how the structure of the program works a little bit.
Okay, I can give you a couple of comments. We also have some other resources for the board tonight. This is a major decision that's taken us several years to get to this point. Our district, because of our size, is right at the front. We have to comply with GASB 43 and 45. This is the first round. We're right in the first round. By June 30th, we have to be in compliance, which means we have to establish the trust and make a deposit of money into the trust. It's a very complicated process, and in any event, I'll mention that we have Beth Muller here. Beth is our District Director of Fiscal Services, and she shepherded the process all the way through, kept track of all the details. We had assistance from Chuck Thompson, who is here. He's from RPM Consulting, and he helped us to prepare the request for proposals. He helped us to evaluate the proposals. He helped us in negotiations with the vendors once we selected them. And in addition to that, we have Gail Beal, who is with Keenan and Associates, who is the administrator, who is, I guess, as Dave would say, quarterbacking the project. So I think now that I've given you those introductions, that maybe Chuck Thompson would be a good person to ask that question from.
Okay, terrific.
Yes, happy to respond. Your question.
Well, it's really, I guess we're entering into a master trust type relationship where we will be a sub-trust component of this. Other districts will also be putting money into this program to ensure for their separate retiree medical risks. Maybe you can...
Sure. You're actually entering into a single contract with the trust company and with the investment manager. The trust company, which is the engine of the entire program, is going to keep your money in a custodial account that's in your name. Doesn't get commingled with anyone.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay. And understand there are a number of different components to this. Obviously, we have I guess Keenan is the one that is kind of has investigated and put the program together.
Yes.
We've got a separate trustee
Yes.
that we will be engaging through one of the contracts that's part of this proposal. Obviously, there are different levels of fees that are involved for the different
parties, vendors that are
yes.
part of the arrangement. And you're right, there are three major vendors. There is the sponsor, which is Keenan and Associates, who has basically put the program together, the turnkey program together. They went out and interviewed through their own RFP process a number of different trust companies. The trust company is the second party to this particular program. And then that particular trust company went out and interviewed through an RFP process different investment managers. And not to get too deep into anything other than just the question you've asked, those are the three main vendors that are part of this. All of those vendors, and one of the things that your district required was basically that their fees are fully disclosed. So they're charging a fee, but they're not being paid by anyone else except the district. Get away from conflict of interest and those types of things. No mutual fund. The mutual fund companies are not paying the investment manager. They're not paying the trust company, and they're not paying the sponsor. So it's all based on disclosed fees that you have basically approved.
Okay. Let me interrupt, if I may, given the lateness of the hour, and ask the board for a motion. Let's go another half an hour.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Is there a second? Okay, no, we're not off this item.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Matter carries unanimously. My apologies. Continue, Trustee Lang.
All right, just on let's take the fee issue for a minute. What are the points, if you will?
Basis points.
The basis points that we are paying.
Technical term that's used in the securities world. The basis points are less than 50 basis points for all of those services.
Okay.
And it's broken down by individual component, but it's charged based on the assets that are in the trust.
Correct.
And the nice thing about it also is that they're declining expenses. You're going to have a reduction in expenses as the assets get larger.
Okay. And now, once again, obviously on the investment side of things, this could involve investment in different kinds of mutual funds, as would be determined by the investment manager, whoever they would be hiring. And I'm just trying to understand:
True,
is there a second level of fee involved through investment in those mutual funds?
No, there's no other fees. I mean, there's no hidden fees. The investment managers are using institutional shares that do not have commissions typically built into them. If there are commissions that are built into them, by agreement, these organizations are not receiving them.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Okay.
From a financial standpoint, we're looking at transferring. We had started to talk about this, but I wasn't completely clear as to whether we're looking at $40 million now, moving from essentially, monies that we are maintaining into this separate trust, and so they will be, obviously, will go into that fund specifically for that purpose. Under the umbrella of this separate trust.
Right. Right now our balance is right at $40 million, and we would be making an initial investment. We haven't determined yet, maybe in the neighborhood of $20 million, and then over a few months, as we got our investment strategies put together, we'd put in the remainder of the money into the irrevocable trust.
Okay. All right. And I think I understand the notion that we will have basically the financial leaders of our district and colleges that will serve on the committee that manages this from the district side of things. You would report then, as we discussed, I think on a quarterly basis to the board?
Right. Quarterly.
Okay. Okay, that was some of the issues. A couple of other points that I looked at. One of the things that is addressed in the documents here would be that we would be obviously providing confidential employee information, and I think there's language in here that says that that would be protected information. I'm worried about, obviously, that information being secured. What sort of controls are in place to make sure that that information, isn't improperly disclosed, that sort of thing?
Actually, as far as the trust company is concerned and the investment manager, they really don't have access to individual information on employees. I mean, that really gets into more of your actuarial areas, and while that's part of the overall GASB program, that's not what you're looking at here tonight. Okay. The three organizations really don't have private information, confidential information on individual employees.
Okay. I guess
Trustee Jay.
Yes, there's two or three things that interest me a lot. The fees are reasonable, the 18 basis points and the 16 basis points and the 12 basis points if we exceed 50 million in the trust and so forth. But what bothers me is the word irrevocable. That means that once the monies go into that, and I'm a retiree of this district, so I'm as interested as anybody else in retiree Plan 65 and those types of things that might go into that. But I am concerned about the word irrevocable. My wife and I have an irrevocable trust. We have two of them. One of them we're very happy with. The other one we're not happy with, and we wish we'd never made it irrevocable. Is there any way of going into this program on a revocable basis and not irrevocable?
The direct answer is no.
Is that because of statute, or is that because of
the guidelines that GASB is requiring? And keep in mind, they're not statute, but they're guidelines. And the GASB guidelines call for
on the types of things that the trust can invest in.
Absolutely.
That crazy products like all of the derivatives that Orange County got in trouble with them 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
That type of thing is forbidden.
Absolutely. There's, when we talk about the guidelines, there's also the state constitution, the education code, and so forth, that actually control where this money is invested, even beyond surplus funds. So you will be creating your investment policy, and that will all be taken into account as to what will be invested based on the guidelines that you have through the Constitution and the Education Code.
One other question. Do the funds that go into this come from employee contributions or district and employee contributions?
Just employer.
Just employer.
Just employer.
Okay, now, one other question. Our main purpose here is the education of students. If money goes into these irrevocable trusts, it can't be backed out to educate kids if we face difficult financial times, as it appears we're going to in the next few years in the current climate. So,
well, let me address two quick things about the irrevocable issue. Keep in mind that every 2 years you're going to be doing a study, an actuarial study.
okay.
In essence, every 2 years you're coming to the table to determine what your liability is. So one of the things is, if there is a surplus in the account, which we're hoping there will be because of investments and so forth, that money can be taken out and brought back to the table. So every couple of years you find out where you are. The other issue is that as you continue to fund, and if you do get to a point, and you are actually starting at a point that's much better than most others within the state, once you are funded, that's all you have to fund. If there's a surplus in there again, and we're hoping there will be because of the investments, that money comes back. And another issue, if national health care were to ever go into effect, you're responsible to make sure that you are funding what your requirement is, but any amount of money that's in that irrevocable trust can come back and you can spend it for other things. So
Okay,
it's
but
not
that's only
totally
the
irrevocable. It's not
That's-
totally
that's-
irrevocable.
The surplus or the profit, if you want to call it that,
Correct.
you can back that out.
That's correct.
But the principal can't. However,
Principal cannot.
if the district has a couple $100 million available and puts $40 million in here right now, again, that's not available for desirable student outcomes, is it?
No, it would not be.
Okay.
It would
That's all I
not
need
be.
to know. Thank you.
It would not be.
Okay.
Trustee Williams.
Well, I had the pleasure of serving on the District Audit Committee again, or I have the pleasure for another year. Trustee Wagner attended, as Deputy Chancellor Portner did. Let's see, Beth Miller was there, and the accounting firm. This was the, I guess you would call it the entry interview. We discussed the GASB 43 and 45 standards. We've talked about this before. I think the irrevocable trust is the way to go. Future boards can't just take this money and spend it on other things. Trustee Jay, that's my big concern.
Yeah.
I believe the unfunded liability is roughly, Gary, is at $58 million, and we are really ahead of the ballgame, guys. We're at $40 million now. We can fully fund this with another $18 million. And then, of course, as they say, every 2 years you do the actuarial study on the actual usage, expected longevity. They study the gender and age of all the retirees, and what the future expected expenditures will be. So, and the advantage to this is when you do the irrevocable trust and you continue to fund it properly, it's not carried in your balance sheet at the end of each year in the budget. It's a separate, Gary, is it a separate item that's reported, I guess? Is that how they do it?
The auditor was saying they have to evaluate the trust document to make that determination.
Okay.
But I think that's going to be the result.
Yeah, this is all brand new, but that's basically what, for those of us on the audit committee, we had a pretty good one-on-one and got a good explanation today. So the good news is we're $40 million into funding $58 million total right now.
Yeah. One quick comment about the topic of irrevocable is that from the point of view of the GASB standards, if the money is not put into an irrevocable trust, then the assumption is your debt isn't funded, because it can be pulled out anytime. So you're going to show your entire debt on the books. You're going to show that you have all that debt there, and you haven't done anything about it. What we're trying to do is resolve the problem and take the debt off of the books.
All right. Seeing no further questions or comments, let's vote. Matter carries unanimously. Item 6.2, this is Saddleback College award a bid to the McKinney Theater restroom expansion.
Move approval.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's vote on the item. The matter carries unanimously. Item 6.3, Saddleback Enrollment Growth and Retention for Registered Nursing Programs. Also here for approval. Discussion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? The matter carries unanimously. Administration's asked to pull 6.4. We're at 6.5, academic personnel actions. And let's turn to Bob King for one last visit.
Would you believe me if I told you I had changes, even if I didn't, just for one last hurrah? We do have changes. It's we are pulling on page 3, item B1, page 4, item C3, and item C6, and on page 5, item E1B. Otherwise, it's as is.
Move approval.
You're saying? All right. Any discussion? Let's vote. Matter carries unanimously. We are at 6.6.
Move approval.
Second.
Any changes here?
No.
So we are done with you.
We are.
All right.
Affectionate.
Yes, I mean that in the best way.
Oh, darn it. You know what?
Do we have a change here?
Corrected. No, I'm corrected by my CSEA friends. The changes I noted were actually on the classified, not on the academic. I'm sorry about that. The academic stays as is. Sorry.
You're fired.
Well, you deserved one last screw-up, so.
Sorry, the academic should have been approved as is.
I was
Sorry.
flipping through here. He knows what he's talking about because he's been with us so long and he's so good, and we all said good things about him. All right.
I can go through the classified again if you'd like.
All right, hang on. 6.5.
Point of order, we need to revote.
Go ahead.
We need to revote.
I don't have a problem with that. 6.5 without any amendments.
Right.
Pretend Bob never said a word. Let's vote on that one.
So this needs to be clear. There we go.
All right.
You can hardly wait to go home.
That passes unanimously. Now,
Right.
We're voting with no
Bob,
amendments
6.6.
Okay, so the items to be pulled again, I'm sorry, are page 3, item B1, page 4, items C3 and C6, and page 5, item E1B.
Move approval with changes as indicated. Second.
Let's vote. Seeing no discussion, we'll vote. Matter carries unanimously. 6.7. These are a number of policies that are here for final approval.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Oh, you guys, you learned. All right, we got it. Matter carries unanimously. All right. 6.8. These are for discussion and potentially approval if it meets with the board.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded for discussion. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve them since there's no discussion.
So moved.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? The matter does not die for lack of a second. All right. This is for approval.
Point of order.
Sir.
The motion was approved for discussion to give the board additional time to review these items, to determine if we wanted to bring them back.
Just for acceptance for discussion.
Right. And we then opened it up for discussion. There was no discussion. And so the question becomes, do we move on them for final approval? You would like them to come back next week, or next month?
I believe I second it.
All right.
So I'll withdraw my second. Does that take care of it?
Which second are you withdrawing?
For his motion, so that we can now get the motion clarified. And it may, in fact, I'll make a motion to table. How's that? That'll bring it back.
We don't need to table them. I think we can bring them back. If your motion is to bring them back.
Table it for 1 month. Bring it back in a month.
Is there a second to the motion to table?
Second.
Hearing none. Let's
The
vote
second.
on the discussion, the motion to discuss.
There was a second on the motion to table. That
It
takes
was-
preference over
it
any
was
other
late.
motion.
I didn't hear it. All right, so these will come back to us next month after having gotten their second reading tonight. All right.
Unbelievable.
Item 6.9, acceptance for review and study.
Move acceptance for review and study.
All right, any discussion? Trustee Padberg?
Yes.
No, yes, ma'am. Trustee Padberg.
Yes, I'm particularly concerned, I know that this will come back because it's just for review and study, about proposed policy 3455. To my knowledge, none of our security people use cameras, and here we are developing a policy. In addition, I think that the use of security equipment or any police operation should not be a matter of board policy. This should be something that the people we have hired and who've been post-trained are doing, not for public knowledge.
Chancellor Mather.
The reason this policy was developed was, I believe that it was proposed by the board that we develop a policy on this matter before we consider installation of security cameras, either for the security of the equipment that we use, expensive equipment, and also in case there was any potential violence on the campus, that at least we'll have some record, and thus these security cameras could serve as a deterrent. So this policy was developed based on board input and guidance as best as I can tell.
Trustee Fuentes.
Mr. President, my recollection was along those lines. We had, Nancy, a discussion here on the topic of acquiring hardware for oversight and campus observation. And as I recall the discussion, I, for one, was concerned that we had the cart before the horse and that we needed to be considering issues like invasion of privacy and where a camera could go and where a camera ought not be going, and how it is that we would, if we came to a point where we would have observation of our faculty and students and staff on the campuses, which I oppose, that at least it be clarified first before we rush out to buy equipment and spend money. And that's how the project of developing policy got to this point.
Trustee Williams.
Trustee Fuentes is exactly right, according to my recollection also. I've been talking about security cameras for about 2 years, but we all know that the discussion has gone beyond security cameras to now a camera system combined with an alert system, whether it be a cell phone system, a loud siren, whatever it may be. We need to get the ball rolling and get some more things installed here so that our campus police have more tools at their disposal to keep this campus safe. And, well, actually, all 3 campuses now. So, but that's it. We agreed we'd establish a policy. Then we'd look at procuring the actual equipment.
Trustee Padberg.
I do not recall that, but I'll accept both trustees' recollection. I have a lot of concern about what's in this policy, and of course, as review and study, I can certainly make recommendations to change it. I think that developing a policy assumes we're going to have security cameras, and this board has not made that decision. I oppose it, I have in the past, and I will in the future. So I'm concerned about developing something for which we do not have approval. I understand your concern, Trustee Fuentes, about having some clear guidelines for such a eventuality, but I think that's assuming there will be the eventuality, and that's not been the approval of this board.
Trustee Milchiker.
Actually, my recollection is that we would, before we moved forward on the issue of either even having a board policy or discussing whether we would have security cameras or not, would be to have a forum with Chief Palmer, the chief of police from Saddleback College, who would discuss what security is being done on the college campuses. And now we could have the chief of police from Irvine Valley College work with us also. I know that Chief Palmer made a presentation to this end at in-service, but I was not able to attend it this year, unfortunately, and I'm sure he would be delighted, I assume, to do the same presentation to the Board of Trustees so that we would have the information of what we have now, what we need, and which ways we need to move forward. And I personally feel, no matter which way we recall the discussion, that if we hear the discussion, we know it's needed, then we'll be able to formulate a board policy after we decide what we want. So I too feel it's premature to have a board policy before we really are deciding what we want and before we've heard from our police force at both colleges as to what we need.
Thank you. Trustee Lang.
I also recall the discussion the same way that Trustee Fuentes and Williams, which is that to develop a policy that would apply should we make the decision to install security cameras. The problem with the policy that we have before us is Trustee Patrick is exactly right. There is a presumption in this policy that we would have the cameras. I mean, you can see the way that it's worded. It does say that security cameras are used instead of may be used. In other language that would basically say, okay, these would be the policies to support the use of security cameras and other kinds of measures like that. So it's good that this is exactly why these policies come to us for review and study. It gives us an opportunity to make those kinds of corrections. And I think when we have this policy that comes back to us, we have appropriately put the cart before the horse. We would have a policy that would facilitate the use of security cameras, should we so choose to support acquiring security cameras for that use.
Let me jump in since everybody else has already spoken to the item, and the concerns expressed by Trustee Padberg and Lang, I share. In fact, I took them to the Chancellor earlier today because it does seem to me that perhaps this is suggesting a foregone conclusion, and I'm not there yet. A lot of us aren't, and the Chancellor has said that this is to develop a policy in the event we move in such a direction, that there is no foregone conclusion yet. That's an issue that still needs to come back to us for a vote. So I had that from administration because I do share some of the concerns. And briefly, just on this policy, as if we're going to be tinkering with it, I would just like to suggest the last sentence be moved up higher, right under policies, at the end of the first paragraph. The last sentence is video monitoring of public areas for security purposes at the campus is limited to uses that do not violate the reasonable expectation of privacy. I want that in this policy right up front in the event we have cameras. All right, Trustee Williams, you're next.
Trustee Milchiker, we did have Chief Palmer here for an extensive Q&A. We already had that presentation. We heard from Honeywell, one of the vendors. We do need to do a competitive bid process, but we had Chief Palmer here one evening for quite a bit of Q&A from board members already.
Chancellor, and we're getting close to 10, so let's move along.
Let me make 3 quick points. One, that yes, Chief Palmer was here at the board meeting for some discussion on this topic previously. Secondly, as I recall, I believe that Chief Palmer was consulted pretty heavily by the board policy committee where this was developed. The policy was developed based on the input from the board that we need to look at the policy statement before we go any further. Third, yes, indeed, this is the appropriate time, as this is a proposed policy, if we want to have security cameras. And it will be appropriate at this point, through this process, for the board to say yay or nay to the use of security cameras. If the board says we are not interested in having security cameras, you vote no on the policy. And if you are interested in going forward, you vote for it.
Trustee Padberg.
Well, I have some comments, but I do want to react to what the Chancellor just said. I think that's the back door for an agenda item, to try to approve an item by having a policy or not. I appreciate what Trustee Lang said, and I think I could support a policy that says in the future, should this board decide to have security cameras, this might be a policy. And it might also be at that time, depending on what decision the board makes, we would want to change the policy. So I certainly see it as a very broad guideline that I could support, but only if that language is there and in the first 2 or 3 sentences, along with what Trustee Wagner wants, that there will be a reasonable expectation of privacy if such cameras are ever used on either campus.
Trustee Milchiker, as we close in on 10.
I move that we extend the meeting another half hour.
Let's finish half an hour now. We got just some information reports. Let's try to finish this.
Okay. I really do recall when Trustee when Chief Palmer was here for a Q&A, and it was either the same time or a different time when there was a vendor from Honeywell that came in and gave a presentation about what it would cost for Honeywell to put these cameras into our college campuses. But I remember at the time we thought that it was a little bit early for a vendor to come and present us with a presentation before we decided if we were going to do it or not. It seemed like it's kind of being shoved down our throats at the time. That's what it felt like, and I apologize if it didn't feel that way to some of you. But I believe that Chief Palmer did say at the Q&A that he would be delighted to come and speak with us and give us an entire presentation about what's being done at the colleges, and to really put on a presentation of what we need and what's being done and what because we really need to know what's being done at the colleges, and as well as I believe, this is my understanding, that there was a very extensive report that was supposed to be in the Board of Trustees agendas from the Chief of Police, and this was pulled before the board saw it, and that was my understanding. So, you know.
Trustee Padberg.
Just very briefly, I did forget to mention, I wanted to comment about Trustee Milchiker's comments about a forum. I don't think that what was suggested about having Chief Palmer come in and do a public forum is really just to have the board meeting. We're always having to revise our stop time. We're under time pressure constantly. I think a public forum, as I understood it, would also involve the students, and it would be a much more relaxed environment where we could really flesh out the concerns of this kind of a purchase and a kind of use of security cameras if we decided to go for it. But I think that needs to be just not at a board meeting, but include students and faculty and anyone else who might be affected by such a decision.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, let's vote on acceptance for review and study of all of these policies. Matter carries unanimously. And the last item here for approval, 6.10, grant acceptance for teacher preparation pipeline.
Second.
Discussion? Let's vote. Very good. Matter carries unanimously. The rest of the items are here for information.
I was going to move for acceptance of items 7.0 and 8.0.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no action is necessary on any of these, and therefore, I thank you all, and again, apologize for our late start. Good night. Be safe.
Good night and good luck.
You are, Bob.